Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Should the Terminator relaunch again? James Cameron says another film is in the discussion phases, but nothing has been decided. And this, I'm sure a lot of people would be massively invested in. They love the sound of this, I'm sure. James Cameron returning to the franchise that essentially made movie fans of generations of men and women. The franchise which saw rise to one of the best strong females on screen. An arc from innocent but determined to outright badass. Linda Hamilton and Sarah Connor. However, some of the comments he makes show a fundamental lack of understanding of the franchise he himself created. And I know that'll be shocking until you hear it, so please reserve your dislike until you hear what he had to say. Because when I read this, I was really disappointed. Really disappointed. So the Terminator franchise just won't die, but maybe James Cameron revealed on the Smartless podcast that discussions are taking place about him continuing the long-running action franchise which kicked off in 1984 on a high, but has since experienced one box office flop after another, which is obviously Terminator Genisys and Terminator Dark Fate. Dark Fate was a particularly huge box office bomb with just $261 million worldwide. It probably would have lost anywhere in the region of $200 odd million, perhaps even more in fairness. It was a monumental flop. Very, very, very large flop. Now they say this, but that still might not have been enough to kill the franchise, which it won't be. The thing about a film like this, or a franchise like this, is it has name brand recognition. So it will never be enough to kill it. Much in the same way that Alien will not be killed by Ridley Scott. And sort of those movies, Covenant and the like, it's just not enough to kill it. It won't be enough because the brand itself is worth more on the potential for profit rather than them making a new franchise. As Cameron said on the podcast, if I were to do another Terminator film and maybe try to launch that franchise again, which is in discussion, but nothing has been decided, I would make it more about the AI side of it than bad robots gone crazy. There is so much wrong with this statement, it's difficult to know where to begin. Genuinely is. So, one, the Terminator franchise actually isn't dead. There is an anime in the works at the moment. That was long announced. It's been sort of ticking away for about a year now. And that looks interesting. That looks like something which could genuinely be good. But these statements here, I would make it much more about the AI side of it than bad robots gone crazy. Terminator was never about bad robots gone crazy. It was always about the AI side of it because the robots were sent from an AI, Skynet. It gained sentience. It realised the biggest threat against it was humanity, so it wiped out humanity. I mean, do I even actually have to spell this out to anyone? This very clearly shows a fundamental lack of understanding of the franchise he himself created. And I don't mean that from, sort of a thematic and philosophical sense. It's outrightly stated in the film what it's actually about, we know the reasons behind stuff, and I don't think anyone watched this thinking, yeah, it's just about Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator. No, it was about the greater war between humans and machines. Judgment Day. Skynet gaining sentience. An AI. An artificial intelligence. That was what it was all about. Now, I also think James Cameron is taking a leaf out of Ridley Scott's book here. And it's unfortunately something that we've been seeing a lot lately with these older directors, is that they reach a certain age and they sort of start to fear their mortality at a certain point. They realise that the end is coming for them. Ridley Scott specifically started doing this with Prometheus and more sort of Alien Covenant, and exploring sentience, AI, and the sort of grander philosophical aspects, and using that as a vehicle to, well, I guess, sort of discuss and explore the fundamental basis of humanity. Now, those things are not inherently bad to explore, but we are seeing a trend where these older directors seem hell-bent on using their older franchises as a vehicle for doing this. And Terminator, well, I mean, it is about AI already. But if James Cameron is saying, well, I'd make it much more about AI side of it than Bad Robots Gone Crazy, I think that is a massive red flag, because it goes to show a disconnect from the franchise creator and the franchise fans. No one is sat here going, yeah, it's all about robots gone crazy. No one. No fan of Terminator is saying that. Fans of Terminator are like, yeah, Skynet, Judgment Day. We want to see, the future war. We want to see what led to actually Skynet being defeated. Or, yeah. This is so beyond the pale. And this is not the first time he said dumb stuff to do with Terminator, because I did a video on this before, is when he started he blamed Terminator Dark Fate on Linda Hamilton and Arnold Schwarzenegger. He says, I think the movie could have survived having Linda in it. I think it could have survived having Arnold in it. But when you put Linda and Arnold in it, and then, she's 60-something and he's 70-something, all of a sudden it wasn't your Terminator movie. It wasn't even your dad's Terminator movie. It was your granddad's Terminator movie. And we didn't see that. That's not why Terminator Dark Fate failed. It failed because you killed off the most important aspect of the entire franchise, John Connor, in a bizarre effort to chug down the message and swap him out for a 5-foot Mexican chick that served exactly the same purpose as the character of John Connor. For no reason you did that. Literally no reason at all, aside from the message. Strong whammon, which you don't need to do in Terminator, because funnily enough, the whole franchise is built on the backs of strong whammon. You don't need to kill off John Connor to do that. Having Linda Hamilton in it alone, a 60-something-year-old badass woman, people were loving that. So there you go. Very disappointing. It's always been about AI. It's not been about Bad Robots Gone Crazy. The Bad Robots didn't go crazy, James. You made this. And now I start to question myself, well, how much involvement did he actually have on the story? Because if you remember, Terminator, the rights themselves were between two individuals. And I wonder whether he really had that much story say. Because he doesn't understand it. Disappointing, to say the least. Very, very disappointing. But I'm sure there'll be people that will still belligerently defend these comments. I'd love to see how. Because to me, this is just so beyond the pale. And again, shows a distinct lack of understanding of the franchise he himself is said to have created. So drop your thoughts down below, give the video a like and a share. Do hit subscribe. Check out my second channel down below in the description box. Cheers guys. Take care.